Good evening, Little Masters, and welcome to episode 225 of the Prancing Pony podcast, where we're in a fix and no mistake.
Just imagine us standing despondently with hunched shoulders, I suppose. But folks, go ahead and pull up a bench in the common room. I'm Sean Marchese, the Lord of the Mark, and I'm here with the Man of the West, for whom all his choices have proven ill, Alan Sisto.
Well, delay plays into the enemy's hands, but I'll think about that tomorrow.
Okay, if you say so.
Today, we're going to get back into the Lord of the Rings as we open up Book 4 and the first part of Chapter 1, The Taming of Sméagol. Surprisingly, though, there's no Sméagol to tame quite yet.
That's kind of a shame, actually. Yeah. I was really looking forward to getting into some Sméagol dialogue. I mean, my throat is grateful for the delay, so there's that.
There is that, true.
No, instead, we're going to be finding our way through the lovely, verdant hills of the Emyn Muil, or something like that.
Yeah, it's not how I remember them, but
I choose to remember them differently. And
your experience.
I reject your reality and insert my own.
And substitute my own, yes.
Now, for those of you joining us for the first time, welcome. Here at the Prancing Pony podcast, we are reading and talking our way through Tolkien's stories of Middle-earth, a few pages at a time.
That's right. We dive into the details, we point out connections to other writings, and talk about our favorite themes.
But we also make sure that we have a lot of fun along the way, and it's not too hard. So we're glad you've joined us.
Yes, we are. We know you'll be glad you joined as well. But before we get into the chapter, today we're bringing you another new segment for this season. We're calling it Questions Before Bedtime.
All right, so this new segment is kind of like Questions After Nightfall, but it's totally different because it's not for our patrons. See, as Alan and I have been doing this podcast for almost 6 years now. Our kids, who were pretty much babies when we started, well, they're now old enough to start taking their first steps into Middle-earth.
That's right, and they ask a lot of questions. And we know some of you out there are having similar experiences at home. So this is an opportunity for our youngest listeners, or just young readers of Tolkien in general, to ask us the questions that are on their minds as they experience the Legendarium for the first time.
And we think you're going to like this first one.
Hi, I'm Lucian, and I'm from Austin, Texas. My question is, why does Gandalf go around asking hobbits who are good with having a peaceful life in their holes to go on quests?
Well, that's a good question.
That is a very good question. Thank you very much for that, Lucian in Texas. He seems like a very intelligent young man. He probably has really good parents.
Yeah. Probably
a very involved father and a wise, supportive, and attractive mother.
Yeah, probably.
For those who haven't figured it out yet, that was my son. But let's get into his question. I suppose Lucian is thinking primarily of Frodo and Bilbo, right? Two hobbits who are pretty happy at home, kind of doing their own thing.
We don't really have any additional written records. We have the implication that he's done that before, right?
We have the implication that he's done that before. So let's take a look at that implication.
Yeah.
And I just happen to have the text of that implication right here from The Hobbit Chapter 1.
I bet you do.
This is Bilbo talking. Dear me, he went on. Not the Gandalf who was responsible for so many quiet lads and lasses going off into the blue for mad adventures. Anything from climbing trees to visiting elves, or sailing in ships, sailing to other shores. Bless me, life used to be quite you used to upset things badly in these parts once upon a time. I beg your pardon, but I had no idea you were still in business.
What else should I be? Sorry, I don't have the text in front of me, but it's something like that.
Something like that.
That's a very good point. So we know that at least he has the reputation of having sent off a bunch of young lads and lasses, but...
And he probably has.
Yeah.
There's probably something to it. And I think it's interesting that those stories probably were the seed of Bilbo being interested in going on an adventure. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Obviously he wouldn't have done it if it hadn't been for the dwarves coming by, but...
No.
If the dwarves had come by and he hadn't already been a little bit enticed by all those other adventures, then he probably wouldn't have gone, right?
I would imagine no. He was drawn in by that.
Yeah, he was.
But it still begs the question, why? Why is Gandalf choosing, of all people, the hobbits? Yeah. Why is he dragging them out when they would rather sit at home and read books and have second breakfast?
Yeah. I have to think that he had some sort of foreknowledge about what was going to happen. Maybe he didn't know exactly, but do you think it's possible that maybe he had some idea that hobbits would be important in the coming war against Sauron?
I think so. Yeah.
And so he's trying to lay the groundwork. And maybe this is just because I've been reading Dune. And so I'm reading all the stuff about the Kwisatz Haderach and
Mm-hmm.
building the super being and everything. And I know there's not really anything like that in Tolkien, but there is an idea of ennoblement in Tolkien. And so I'm actually really attracted to this idea right now. And I wonder if Gandalf was kind of laying that groundwork. Someday you're going to need somebody like a Frodo who's going to be ready to do something important.
Right.
Well, in order to get to a Frodo, you need to have a Bilbo. And in order to get to a Bilbo, you need to have all these young lads and lasses
who've gone up into the blue and never came back.
Yeah. Right.
Can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
Sorry about your Hobbit son, Mrs. Goldilocks, but
a few of them died, but it's all for the best,
But 80 years from now, it'll matter a great deal.
Right.
I mean, that's terrible.
Well, we don't know for sure that they never came back, right? Some of them might come back mostly whole.
Mostly whole.
Yeah, I don't know. I just wonder if maybe...
It's just an arm.
I brought back his finger. Yeah, I just wonder if maybe Gandalf has just been sort of readying the hobbits. He's a kindler of hearts, and maybe this is one way that he's sort of kindling the hobbits to adventure because he knows he might need them someday.
And of course, Gandalf would be in the unique position of knowing more about the hobbits than anybody else who's going to then try to draw them on an adventure, right? I mean, Elrond's not going to want them to necessarily go on adventures. The dwarves don't care. They just want to sell and buy and do their trading. But Gandalf's different. Remember what his role is here in Middle-earth. His role is to inspire and unite these people in their fight against Sauron.
Yeah.
So why not include the hobbits in that? He knows their strengths.
That's right. He knows their strengths more than anybody else does. Remember, nobody else really paid attention to them, but he saw something in them. He saw potential, and maybe he's trying to develop that potential.
I think so. That's a good answer. And yeah, I think that's probably really the only explanation we have is, he knew that it's going to take all of the free peoples, including the hobbits, to defeat Sauron.
Yeah.
He probably had some special inkling that hobbits were maybe going to even have a key role.
Yeah, maybe
so. And then that meant fostering the sense of adventure.
Yeah, no, I can't imagine that he knew exactly what it was, but he might have known that, hey, we're going to need everybody, even the hobbits of the Shire.
Even those little guys, yeah.
Even those little guys. And these guys are going to take some pushing.
Yeah, that's true. They're definitely going to take some pushing. They want to stay at home, have second breakfast, write their genealogies, and visit the pub.
Yeah.
My kind of people, actually, now that I think about it.
Totally. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
But of course, I haven't had a Gandalf come along and ennoble me and inspire me to great deeds.
But you haven't, have you? Are you sure about that?
I mean, except for making this podcast.
There you go.
There you go.
That was a fun question.
That was a super fun question. Thank you very much, Lucian in Texas. Yes.
Lucian in Texas. You mean Lucian in the upstairs bedroom?
Right. Just want everybody to know that we're not going to ask anyone's kids to do something that we wouldn't ask our own kids to do.
That is true. And the next time, I suspect, we'll have my son Jai on the show.
And I am looking forward to that and to the time after that when eventually we'll do this with someone else's kid.
That's right.
Because I know we're going to get a lot of great questions from the next generation of Tolkien fans.
I think we absolutely will. Our listeners are going to really enjoy this segment. It should be a lot of fun.
I think so.
But now it's time to finally dive into the text of Book 4 as we rejoin Frodo and Sam. And like in any chapter, we're going to start where else but the very beginning because it is a very good place to start.
It is.
And this time, I'm going to have you do the reading, Sean.
Okay.
Take us away.
Here I go. Well, master, we're in a fix and no mistake, said Sam Gamgee. He stood despondently with hunched shoulders beside Frodo and peered out with puckered eyes into the gloom. It was the third evening since they had fled from the company, as far as they could tell. They had almost lost count of the hours during which they had climbed and labored among the barren slopes and stones of the Emyn Muil, sometimes retracing their steps because they could find no way forward, sometimes discovering that they had wandered in a circle back to where they had been hours before. Yet, on the whole, they had worked steadily eastward, keeping as near as they could find a way to the outer edge of this strange, twisted knot of hills.
And a strange, twisted knot of hills it is. It's, my first thought is it is fitting and not surprising that the very first thing that happens here in Book 4 is Sam talking,
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a landscape description. It's not even a narrative of some action taking place. It's the emotional heart of the story, which is exactly how we've described Sam on a number of occasions.
Yeah. Yeah. And remember, this is the first time that we're transitioning back to Frodo and Sam's storyline since the end of book 2. It's been
a very long time.
A really long time since we've been with them.
Yeah.
And it just sort of drops us right in the middle of the action.
Boy, it sure does. And it's classic Sam, too, right? I mean, it's deferential to Frodo, first off, but also being ever so slightly cynical about the circumstances.
He's kind of complaining a little bit. I mean, we're told he's despondent. He's kind of grousing a little bit. Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah. So, here we are in the Emyn Muil. And boy, this isn't exactly a pleasant place.
No, it's not. Now, we last saw Frodo and Sam shouldering their burdens, and I'm quoting here, seeking a path that would bring them over the gray hills of the Emyn Muil and down into the land of shadow. Now, they were trying to get over the gray hills of the Emyn Muil, but that was 3 days ago.
Yeah.
And here they still are in the Emyn Muil.
That's right. And so just to kind of refresh your memory, folks, the breaking of the fellowship took place on February 26th. So this is February 28th. And I say that because remember, this is the third evening since they fled. They left around midday on the 26th. So there was the evening of the 26th, the evening of the 27th, and now this is the third evening. So on this day, just to kind of get you up to speed with what's happening, or I should say what happened in book 3, Merry and Pippin are still with the orcs, who are just now about to be surrounded by the Rohirrim. And of course, they in turn are still being followed by the 3 hunters.
That's right. And Hammond and Skull point us to Tolkien's scheme, where he gives us a little bit more detail about what's happened in each of the intervening 3 days. So the scheme tells us February 26th, Frodo and Sam, first night in Emyn Muil. Gollum picks up trail of Frodo and Sam in Emyn Muil and dogs them. February 27th, second day and night wandering in Emyn Muil along southeast edge. They become aware of Gollum. February 28th, third day. Here, Tail picks them up again. So Tolkien's pointing us right to this moment.
Straight to this point. Mm-hmm.
They spend cold night under shelter of a rock, which is what we're about to see.
That's right. So then we get a little bit of the difficulty of navigating in the Emyn Muil, right? The retracing their steps, the wandering in circles. This is a hard place to navigate.
It is, and yet they are making some progress, slowly. Mm-hmm. We're told they're moving slowly to the east, but they are trying to find a way down into the plain and marshes and get out of these hills.
Yeah, and they're high hills. There's no doubt about it. And this is going to be a difficult transition. These aren't just a series of small rolling hills.
Right.
No.
Right. And that's where you're going to pick up.
That's right. A little bit after that at the end of that paragraph. The hobbits stood now on the brink of a tall cliff, bare and bleak, its feet wrapped in mist. And behind them rose the broken highlands, crowned with drifting cloud. A chill wind blew from the east. Night was gathering over the shapeless lands before them. The sickly green of them was fading to a sullen brown. Far away to the right, the Anduin, that had gleamed fitfully in sunbreaks during the day, was now hidden in shadow. But their eyes did not look beyond the river, back to Gondor, to their friends, to the lands of men. South and east they stared, to where, at the edge of the oncoming night, a dark line hung, like distant mountains of motionless smoke. Every now and again, tiny red gleam far away flickered upwards on the rim of earth and sky. All right.
So now we're getting our bearings a little bit as to where these guys actually are. We see that they're standing on the top of a cliff, and they can't even see the bottom because of the mist.
No.
We know that there are these broken highlands behind them, and there's a wind coming up from the east.
Right. And we can see the dead marshes from here. They're not called that yet, right? This is just the sickly green of the shapeless lands, now fading to a sullen brown. And then the Anduin is hidden in shadow.
Yeah. And they're staring to the southeast towards Mordor. So take a look at your map of Middle-earth. If you can see exactly just how far north Emyn Muil is of Mordor, north and west. So they are really looking due southeast.
Mm-hmm.
And as they look that way, they see the distant mountains of motionless smoke.
So, perhaps they're seeing the Ered Lithwi, the Ash Mountains, which are the mountains on the northern border of Mordor. But really, as you look at the map, you're right. They're looking almost directly to where the Ered Lithwi meet up against the Mountains of Shadow.
Right, the Ethel Duath.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, and of course, the occasional tiny red gleam. I've got to ask, even though I know people are going to throw questions at me about the curvature of the earth here, are those flickers from Mount Doom maybe against some clouds in the sky?
I think that's what they're meant to be. I mean, I know that's not possible, right? Because of the curvature of the earth, right?
They are high up, right? Unlike
That's
Legolas on
true.
the plains of Rohan seeing things way far away. They are at least, well, we know later 18 fathoms, so a little over 100 feet. But yeah, that's not very high.
That's true.
So maybe they're at this point 150 feet above the plane. But yeah, I can't imagine they're seeing Mount Doom directly. They're most likely seeing maybe the light of
reflection
it
on
off
the
the
clouds
cloud.
or the mist or something. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Reflection off clouds seems like the most reasonable thing, unless they're seeing something maybe from the Morannon, the gates there.
That could possibly be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could just be some fires that are burning
Mhm.
there at the gate.
Well, I think from there, it's time for the next section. I'm going to have you pick up right after that.
I'm starting right where you left off. What a fix, said Sam. That's the one place in all the lands we've ever heard of that we don't want to see any closer, and that's the one place we're trying to get to. And that's just where we can't get nohow. We've come the wrong way altogether, seemingly. We can't get down, and if we did get down, we'd find all that green land a nasty bog, I'll warrant. Phew! Can you smell it? He sniffed at the wind. Yes, I can smell it, said Frodo. But he did not move, and his eyes remained fixed, staring out towards the dark line in the flickering flame. Mordor, he muttered under his breath. If I must go there, I wish I could come there quickly and make an end.
Well, yeah. I mean, if we got to do this, I want to get it over with, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit Beowulfy, just like, I can't avoid this. I'm going to do it. I just want to get it over with.
Right. I have to end up there. So can we please just get it over with? Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I love the way Sam points this out, right? I mean, yeah, they know they have to get there, but they don't want to actually be any closer. And Sam puts this, just like he did at the beginning of the chapter, in such gloriously typical Sam manner.
Oh, yeah.
Can't get there, no way, no how kind of thing, right?
Oh, and it's so fun to read that dialogue.
Isn't it? I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Sam's just got so much pure, raw wisdom, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He doesn't always say things the most eloquent way, but
no,
he has his moments, and he's always saying it like it is.
Yeah, it's true.
But here he points out that, look, they can't get down from this tall cliff.
No, way too
and
tall. Yeah.
Even if they could, it's probably all just bogland once they get down there. And spoiler alert, he's right.
Yeah, it must stink if they're able to smell it from there. True.
Yeah.
And Frodo just keeps staring to the southeast, right? He keeps staring at Mordor, and he finally says the name, right? I think it's the first time we see the name mentioned here in the chapter.
That's a good point, yeah.
And like we've just said, he's expressing that desire to just get this all over with.
Get it done.
Yeah.
Get it done. And then, after the part that I read, he acknowledges that, we're going to need to shelter into camp.
Yeah, we've got to at least get more sheltered than we are right now.
Yeah.
But Sam's convinced that, even if we camp, we're going to still wake up completely lost. We've come the wrong way. And then I don't care how many days we camp and wait for the next morning, we're never going to get a path shown to us. We're never going to figure this out.
Yeah. Kind of despairing too early, isn't he? I mean,
a little bit. Yeah.
I kind of want to tell him, like, you guys left just like 2 days ago, a little over 2 days ago, right? Have some patience and,
Exactly. It's only been 60 hours at the most. Yeah. Not even that.
But, hey, I'm sure it's miserable. So he's probably not thinking clearly.
And they know Gollum's following them at this point.
There's that too. Yep.
Yeah. Well, in the meantime, while they're wandering around the Emyn Muil, Sean and I are proud to welcome Mythology Candles back to the PPP. Now, we hear from our listeners all the time about how much you like their products, and we want to make sure that you hear about their new stuff.
Absolutely. Mythology Candles, now that's with an I-E, not a Y, they're on a quest to add adventure to everyday life through their unique scents. They're made with fantasy fans in mind, and each candle provides an atmospheric immersion and is designed to set the scene for watching your favorite movie, reading a novel, or enjoying a game night with friends.
That's right. And for Tolkien lovers, they have a dedicated tale-inspired collection to put you right into Middle-earth, with everything from the Ranger, which smells like trodden leaves and war-beaten leather. That's actually, I suppose, a pretty nice way of describing what a Ranger smells like.
I'm sure there are worse things that a Ranger can and often does smell like. Yeah.
I'm sure there are, but at least their candle smells good.
Right.
And then there's the cherry tobacco scent of Wizard's Pipeweed. And then the one I really like is that spicy cinnamon sweet vanilla mix that you'll get in Breeze Spice Market.
That is a really good one. But in a new limited edition this fall, Mythology Candles has released their Mystical Autumn collection, which draws on our favorite autumn folklore and mythology. From the werewolf-inspired scent Blood Moon Sky that smells like cherry wine and musk, and I can't wait to try that one, to the spiced pie crust of Gaelic Feast. Each scent is blended to be a portal in a jar, transporting you to another realm.
All Mythology candles are handmade in the USA with eco-friendly coconut wax, crackling wooden wicks, and pure natural fragrances. So they are clean burning and pet friendly. And best of all, they have an exclusive discount for Prancing Pony Podcast listeners to get 10% off their purchase. All you have to do is type in Gimli10. It's all one word at checkout. That's Gimli10.
So if you're looking for something extra to set the perfect atmosphere for your mood, check out Mythology Candles. Again, that's spelt with an I-E instead of a Y. mythologycandles.com, or find them on social media at Mythology Candles.
Now, before we get back to the discussion, we want to continue this break and make sure that you know that when you finish listening to this episode, well, the talk continues all night long at the Prancing Pony Podcast.
That's right. Our amazing listener community keeps the conversation going in all of our social media spaces, from our common room on Facebook to our Reddit community, Twitter, and more.
So on Facebook, just look for the Prancing Pony Podcast and be sure to follow the page and join the group for some really great discussions.
And you can find us on Reddit at r/PrancingPonyPod. And we're also at Prancing Pony Pod on Twitter and Instagram.
Now, folks, if you enjoy the show, please consider supporting us by joining the Fellowship of the Podcast. When you do, you get a lot. You get a really active Discord community. Right now, we're recording this episode live in front of about 30 or 35 people. Postscripts, episodes without digital ads, free merchandise, and a lot more.
A lot more, actually. There's also live Discord hangouts, a chance to be a part of our Questions After Nightfall episodes, or even the chance to join us as a guest in the North Wing. So check out patreon.com/prancingponypod to support the show and become part of the Fellowship of the Podcast.
And also, if you enjoy the show, you can help us out by giving us a rating and review over on Apple Podcasts, even if you listen to us on another platform. And please recommend us to your friends. Let's go ahead and get back to the discussion, though. Sean, what do you think?
I think so, and I think you've got the next reading, Alan, just a couple of paragraphs down from where I finished.
Yeah, and it's a relatively short one, but man, it's meaty. As we often say, there's a lot to unpack here, so I'll read it.
Yep.
I wonder, said Frodo. It's my doom, I think, to go to that shadow yonder, so that a way will be found. But will good or evil show it to me? What hope we had was in speed. Delay plays into the enemy's hands. And here I am, delayed. Is it the will of the Dark Tower that steers us? All my choices have proved ill. I should have left the company long before, and come down from the north, east of the river into the Emyn Muil, and so over the heart of Battle Plain to the passes of Mordor. Now it isn't possible for you and me alone to find a way back, and the orcs are prowling on the east bank. Every day that passes is a precious day lost. I'm tired, Sam. I don't know what is to be done. So let's break that down.
Your heart breaks for him. I mean,
it really does. What a really, really rough spot he's in.
Yeah.
And we're going to get to that, I think.
Just getting started, really.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it? You're right.
Yeah.
Boy, you think it's hard now, Frodo? Let's
I
talk.
know.
Yeah, we got some news for you.
Well, let's talk about it a little bit. I mean, Frodo's really getting philosophical here, and
yeah.
It's a great little monologue.
Mm-hmm.
I love this observation that he thinks that it's his doom, his fate, that
Yeah.
he will get to where he's going. He will get to Mordor and Mount Doom. So he thinks a way will be found. It's a little bit of that fate and free will, though, isn't it?
It is.
He doesn't just assume, oh, a way will be found, so I'm just going to throw my hands up and just leave it to fate. He knows he needs to go on, but he assumes that fate will find a way.
Mm-hmm. But he doesn't have that way on his own, so it has to come from the outside. And he's wondering, as he wonders aloud, will good or evil show me that way? How would that differ? Maybe we should talk about that a little bit. I mean, I'm thinking of a couple of different things. Like in book 3, we saw evil that brought Merry and Pippin to Fangorn, right? I mean, the orcs dragging them very much against their will. But it was good, that is the pursuit of their friends, that brought the 3 hunters to the exact same place. How would that differ here? What would it look like if good showed the way to Frodo?
You know, good showing the way to Frodo might be him stumbling across Faramir and the Rangers and them saying, "Oh yeah," them having kind of their meeting and Faramir saying, "Okay, yeah, here's the way to Mordor. Go this way."
Right.
Kind of an oversimplified.
Right.
Goofy
I think the answer
option,
would be you can't get there.
Probably, yeah,
because they already say as we get there that going through Cirith Ungol is a bad idea.
Yeah, that's true. But
and
I mean, I
nobody
think
gets through the Morannon.
Right. No, that's true. But I think that's what good finding a way would look like. Would be some friend or Gandalf coming back from death and showing him the way. But evil would be something different. And I love the ambiguity here because the ambiguity in Frodo's question kind of foreshadows the ambiguity that we're going to see in Gollum.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Gollum is going to show him the way, but is it good Sméagol or is it evil Gollum who's showing him the way?
Yeah.
Or is it both? Can we have one without the other?
That's a very good way to put it. I don't think with Gollum Sméagol, I don't think there is a way to have one without the other.
I don't think so.
And, I'm sure there's a part of Gollum who, of course, wants nothing but the ring back. And there's a part of Sméagol who would love to be free of it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a very small part, but I think there is a part of him that would like to be free of the ring and knows that maybe this is one way to accomplish that. But at the end of the day, it's evil, but there's a little bit of good.
But I think that seeing this line now and thinking about what this line really means, this really foreshadows the entire conflict that we're going to see in Frodo over the course of this book. Gollum is going to be showing him the way, and Frodo doesn't know if it's good or evil.
No, he won't know. He has to trust that it's good, but I don't know that he really cares at that point. He's trusting that it's the way, whether it's good or evil. Yeah.
Right.
And I think we'll see a lot of comments to that effect as we move forward. Yeah.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting.
Isn't it going to be fun?
This is going to be cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought when I saw that, I kind of really slowed down as I read that. I thought, I think we need to linger there for a bit, and because we're going to see some more of that play out.
It's a really good bit of foreshadowing. I'm glad you pulled that out.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have time to delay right now.
No, that's true.
Was their advantage.
We can discuss this, but Frodo and Sam don't have the time.
Right. We see that speed was their advantage, and the more they delay, the more power Sauron is gathering.
That's right. And that leads Frodo to wonder, is it Sauron's will that is steering us? And that also brings me back to book 3. Compare that with the will of Saruman thwarting the 3 hunters. Let's talk about that a little bit. Is there anything to this?
I wonder.
I mean, part of me, my initial response is no, because I don't think Sauron's aware of them or they'd already be captured.
Definitely not consciously.
Yeah.
Sauron can't be consciously leading them in the way that Saruman is probably consciously thwarting the 3 hunters.
Yeah, I think he's aware that they're there and chasing. Yeah.
Oh,
boy.
Because you're right. If Sauron knew they were there and he were just leading them in, he would just send a Nazgul to pick them up, and it would.
Which, ironically, we'll see later in this chapter. But he's not there to pick up Frodo and Sam. No.
Right. No, but it could be the will of the ring. I don't want to say will, but the power of the ring kind of leading them towards Mordor.
Almost a magnetic pull. But
maybe something
that would
like
pull them towards it and not repel. And right now they're kind of being repelled. They're being delayed.
That's a good point. Yeah. That's a good point. And you would think that if it were the ring, then the ring would want to go back to
to move quickly back to Sauron. Right.
Yeah. So probably not. Yeah, it's a good point. Probably not.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think at this point I just want to chalk this up to sort of the hostility of the environment.
Mm-hmm.
As we'll see as we get closer to Mordor, everything here is a hostile environment. From the Emyn Muil to the Dead Marshes to the No Man's Land to the Morannon itself.
Yeah.
There's little bits of there's remnants, I guess, of decency in Ithilien.
Sure.
But that's it. Yeah.
But this is all hostile environment.
Very hostile.
Yeah.
The environment is very active against them, which we didn't see in book 3, right? The fields of grass and all of that.
Right. And that's something we saw a couple of times in book 2 with like Caradhras and things like that.
Yeah. Not necessarily aligned with Sauron, but a very hostile presence. Yeah.
Right. And we are going to see the landscape itself kind of be an antagonist in a lot of ways here.
Yeah, we will.
That's probably all it is.
Yep. And then we get that great line. I love this. All my choices have proved ill. And that totally echoes Aragorn's own comments in book 3. I remember when he
Doesn't it though?
Yeah. Aragorn hears Boromir's horn when he's looking for Frodo. This is when he and Sam are together. Alas, an ill fate is on me this day, and all that I do goes amiss.
Right. And then when he's trying to decide on whether they should rest at night or keep chasing the orcs, he actually tells Legolas and Gimli, "You give the choice to an ill chooser.
Mm.
Since we passed through the Argonath, my choices have gone amiss."
All my choices have proved ill. My choices have gone amiss. I mean, this is
the exact same sentiment. Yeah.
Yeah, the same
Mhm.
exact sentiment, echoing him completely. And like Aragorn, Frodo second guesses himself here. I should have
Yeah.
left sooner, come down east of the Emyn Muil. Just like Aragorn completely thinks, I should have done this other thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's this miserable feeling that now it's too late because, now
Right.
we can't go back.
No.
And even if we could, there are orcs by the river.
Orcs by the river. I can't even think of what song I just did. I mean, I can hear it in my head, but I can't.
You got me on that one. I can't even tell what song that is. I'm sorry.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you know what? It's the Clash. It's London Calling. There's a line where he sings, "I live by the river."
Okay.
Something like that.
There you go. I have not heard
and
that
I don't
song
know
in a
why
long
that
time.
popped into my head. And I have to say that's probably true about 80% of the songs that I randomly sing.
Well, I'm glad you figured it out.
Yeah, so am I. Though I have to say, in all fairness, we are recording this live in front of our Discord audience. I have to give a hat tip to them as they gave us a couple tips.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thank you, guys. But Frodo here, he just doesn't know what to do at this point. He's out of ideas.
He really is. You're right.
So,
and of course, when he's out of
what
ideas.
What do hobbits do when they don't know what else to do?
That's right. The conversation turns to what you'd expect it to. What food do we have?
That's right.
Sam says we have lembas, and then he gives his opinion on it, which is great.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he says what he'd really prefer would just be some plain bread and half a mug of beer, and I can't blame him for that.
I can't blame him either. Man.
No. It's just a little bit of those comforts of home that he really wants. And I'm thinking of that idea of refuge that we've talked about a couple of times since last season. This is what he's looking for. He's looking for, something to seek some refuge in. Just some simple bread and half a mug of beer.
Yeah.
But he can't have it, can he?
No, he can't. He certainly can't bake the bread because he can't make a fire and there's nothing to cook.
Right.
I mean, he's been carrying his supplies, his cooking supplies. So pots and, fire making gear and utensils, all of that for nothing so far.
Yeah. Poor guy. All that stuff's heavy.
I know.
Pots, pans, a bit of seasoning.
He's got a big cast iron skillet,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure he does.
I'm sure he does, because he certainly doesn't have like a lightweight Teflon coated thing. They're all going to be cast iron.
Right.
We don't live in a steel age here for the hobbits, I don't think. But maybe we do.
No.
All right.
Well,
I'm going to have you read, go ahead and skip a paragraph or so on that thing about not even able to cook grass. And I'm going to have you pick up to talk about the hollow and the fourth morning.
All right. They turned away and went down into a stony hollow. The westering sun was caught into clouds, and night came swiftly. They slept as well as they could for the cold, turn and turn about in a nook among great jagged pinnacles of weathered rock. At least they were sheltered from the easterly wind. "Did you see them again, Mr. Frodo?" asked Sam, as they sat, stiff and chilled, munching wafers of lembas in the cold gray of early morning. "No," said Frodo. "I've heard nothing, and seen nothing for 2 nights now." "Nor me," said Sam. "Grr, those eyes did give me a turn. But perhaps we've shaken him off at last, the miserable slinker. Gollum. I'll give him Gollum in his throat if I ever get my hands on his neck." "I hope you'll never need to," said Frodo. "I don't know how he followed us, but it may be that he's lost us again, as you say. In this dry, bleak land, we can't leave many footprints, nor much scent, even for his snuffling nose."
So now they head into that stony hollow, right? The sun goes down, and not surprisingly, given the environment, night came swiftly.
Right.
So, yeah, they're sheltered from the east wind, but really, this is just, a hollow in the rock. This is not
this is
a bed
not
and breakfast.
really
this is not
shelter.
a 5-star hotel.
No.
Yeah, their sleep is less than ideal.
They're not even really covered. They're sheltered from the east wind. That's it.
Yeah, but not the north, south, or west winds.
Right. Or
the rain, or the
rain.
Mm-hmm.
Or anything else that might come down out of the sky. Now, now the morning of February 29th.
That's
Remember,
right.
all months have 30 days in the Shire calendar.
That's right.
So by this time, the Rohirrim have attacked and destroyed the orcs, and Merry and Pippin have escaped and are soon going to meet Treebeard.
That's right. And we're going to even sneak Faramir in here because this is the day that he's going to see Boromir's funeral boat.
That's right.
Now, Sam and Frodo start talking about Gollum, and Sam brings it up. I love the way he does it, though. Like, as you're reading it, you're not 100% sure what he's talking about. Not did you see him, but did you see them? He's
That's
talking about
right.
the eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, the eyes. That's true. It kind of dehumanizes Gollum a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it does.
It's not a creature or a being. It's these two eyes that are following you.
Like these disembodied eyes just floating around and following him.
Yeah.
Creepy as can be.
Very much so. And Frodo says that he hasn't seen those eyes. He's seen nothing for 2 nights. And Sam's optimistic here. Hopes maybe they've lost him.
Mm-hmm.
And then threatens bodily harm if he finds him. I'll give him a Gollum in his throat. I'll choke him to death.
Right.
And Frodo points out that, look, we can't be leaving much in the way of a trail in this land because of this dry, bleak land. We're not going to leave footprints.
What shall we call this land?
We shall
call it
this
land. All right. Oh, man.
I think we shall call it your grave.
Curse you and your sudden but inevitable betrayal. All right. We're never going to stop making Firefly references, folks, so don't ask.
Nope.
After the reading that you had, there's a line right after I debated about having you read it. Sam says, I wish we could be rid of him for good. I got to ask you, do you think Sam means he wishes Gollum was dead already? Or just that they'd lose him forever?
I mean, I always just read it as they'd lose him forever, but he did just say that if he sees him, he's going to choke him.
He's going to kill him. Right,
yeah.
Exactly.
So it could probably go either way.
I'm kind of thinking that. Yeah. I mean, just Sam really, really already has it out for Gollum, doesn't he?
Yeah. Hasn't even met him in person yet. And already hates him, already wishes he was dead.
Yeah.
And that is going to color every interaction he has with Gollum in this book. Just as Frodo's earlier observation about good or evil is going to color his.
Mm-hmm.
Really interesting how much this couple of pages here foreshadows everything we're going to see in this book.
Stuff that you kind of blink and you miss it sort of stuff.
Yeah. But Frodo points out that, look, Gollum's not really the main concern right now.
Which probably comes as a bit of a surprise to Sam, really.
Probably.
I mean,
because
Gollum's out there likely to kill us, and that's not your main concern?
Sam is only thinking of the living, breathing antagonist that's following them.
Right.
But Frodo's thinking about the landscape. He's worried about these hills. Uh-huh. And he also feels naked, exposed to Sauron, and not in a good way.
Well, yeah, as if there is a good way to feel exposed to Sauron. I mean, I guess there are good ways to feel naked, but not when you're exposed to Sauron.
Right. Exactly.
And then he mentions the eye. And remember, the last time he mentioned that, I believe, would have been when he felt the eye on him when he was on Amon Hen.
That's right.
That was a powerful moment. So he's very aware of this presence.
Yeah. Yeah. And now there's this sense of urgency to get down off of these hills where he's exposed.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't blame him for that. But
nope.
The mountains are going to make that hard. This next little bit I'm going to read here, the Emyn Muil really forces a decision.
It does.
And I'm going to read here after the day wears on.
Okay.
Sometimes, in the silence of that barren country, they fancied that they heard faint sounds behind them, a stone falling, or the imagined step of flapping feet on the rock. But if they halted and stood still listening, they heard no more. Nothing but the wind sighing over the edges of the stones. Yet even that reminded them of breath softly hissing through sharp teeth. All that day, the outer ridge of the Emyn Muil had been bending gradually northward as they struggled on. Along its brink, there now stretched a wide, tumbled flat of scored and weathered rock, cut every now and again by trench-like gullies that sloped steeply down to deep notches in the cliff face. To find a path in these clefts, which were becoming deeper and more frequent, Frodo and Sam were driven to their left, well away from the edge, and they did not notice that for several miles they had been going slowly but steadily downhill. Clifftop was sinking towards the level of the lowlands. At last they were brought to a halt. The ridge took a sharper bend northward and was gashed by a deeper ravine. On the further side, it reared up again many fathoms at a single leap. A great gray cliff loomed before them, cut sheer down as if by a knife stroke. That's where we'll stop for a moment.
All right.
Yeah.
And now the ridge they've been following has been bending to the north. So you can imagine them reaching the southeastern corner of the Emyn Muil, but they're now forced northward along the ridge, which is now running north-south.
That's right.
They're close, but they're not getting out this way.
No, I mean, you can see this is a huge cliff. Now, in her Atlas of Middle-earth, Karen Fonstad goes into some really, really good depth on the geology of this region, from the Wold and the Downs to the north and the Emyn Muil itself, both east and west of the Anduin and Hithoil. Now, it's more than we can dive into here. It would be like a 10 or 15-minute sidebar, but it's really worth recommending. And if you have any interest in kind of the geology of this, we'd highly recommend taking a look.
Definitely. And that's just a great book for anybody who doesn't have it.
It's a must-have resource, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. So now the edge of the cliff to the east, which is on their right, because they're going north, is cut by deep gullies.
Right.
And these gullies actually are cutting across their path. So Frodo and Sam keep veering to the left.
Right. And interestingly, they're heading slightly downhill as they do. The mountains are coming down a little bit to the level of the dead marshes and the lowlands around them.
Mm-hmm. And so they come to a stop.
Mm-hmm.
And the other side of the ravine in front of them is a huge cliff.
Yeah.
And we're told it's cut as if by a knife stroke.
So it's, really, really sheer.
Really steep, really
sharp,
sheer.
Very steep, right. So they cannot go north. They also can't go back. They can't go west because that would take them right back into the depth of the hills. That's no point. And if they go east, it's the precipice. So I guess really they are going north. They're going into the gully and see where that leads. So if you're imagining this, folks, the cliff face is on your right, but there are a bunch of gullies running left to right across your path. So they're shallow on the left, deep on the right. These are where all the rainwater kind of gets into these little gullies and then finds its way down and then eventually comes off the cliff face. So you can imagine in a heavy rain, you'd see lots of mini waterfalls coming down these gullies on the east face of the Emyn Muil.
Yeah.
So as they get into the gully, Sean, that's where I'm going to have you pick up.
All right. There's nothing for it but to scramble down this gully, Sam, said Frodo. Let's see what it leads to. A nasty drop, I'll bet, said Sam. The cleft was longer and deeper than it seemed. Some way down, they found a few gnarled and stunted trees, the first they had seen for days. Twisted birch, for the most part, with here and there a fir tree. Many were dead and gaunt, bitten to the core by the eastern winds. Once in milder days, there must have been a fair thicket in the ravine, but now, after some 50 yards, the trees came to an end, though old broken stumps straggled on almost to the cliff's brink. The bottom of the gully, which lay along the edge of a rock fault, was rough with broken stone and slanted steeply down. When they came at last to the end of it, Frodo stooped and leaned out. Look, he said. We must have come down a long way, or else the cliff is sunk. It's much lower here than it was, and it looks easier, too. Sam knelt beside him and peered reluctantly over the edge. Then he glanced up at the great cliff rising up, away on their left. Easier? He grunted. Well, I suppose it's always easier getting down than up. Those as can't fly can jump. It would be a big jump still, said Frodo. About, well... He stood for a moment, measuring it with his eyes. About 18 fathoms, I should guess. Not more. And that's enough, said Sam. Ugh, how I do hate looking down from a height. But looking's better than climbing.
Don't say that too soon, Sam. Don't say that too soon.
For sure, yeah.
This would be an important point to know that a fathom is not like 2 inches, because, it's about 18 fathoms, I should guess. Well, I guess really it depends on how long a fathom is, isn't it? We'll get to that in a bit.
Well, we gotta say it now. I mean, come on.
All right, fine.
So a fathom is 6 feet, right?
Yeah.
So 18 fathoms is...
It's 108 feet.
Okay.
33 meters. So it's the height of a 10-story building. They're not getting down very easily. They're certainly not jumping.
No.
No.
Nope.
So Frodo sees this as their only option, though, right? We have to go down the gully to see if it leads anywhere. And Sam, of course, responds with his usual skepticism. Well, I'll bet it goes to blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. A little grouchy.
I don't blame him. No, I'd be the same way. Yeah.
Now, the ravine is even deeper and longer than they thought.
Right.
But I like this. We're told that some trees survived in here.
Uh-huh.
Now, gnarled and stunted trees, of course.
Yeah, twisted birch and some fir. But most of them are dead from the east winds.
That's true. So only a few survived. Now, when I saw that there was birch and fir here, I knew I had to look this up in Flora of Middle-earth and just see, what symbolism, what significance do these trees have. So Flora notes that birches are widely distributed in Middle-earth and are therefore frequently referenced in J.R.R. Tolkien's writings. In fact, they didn't even say anything specific to this moment, which they usually will. They'll usually mention...
Right, they'll reference all of the mentions, but
right.
birches are mentioned a lot. Yeah.
Right. And so they didn't even list this one among the many mentions of birches. So
No. So the fact that these are birches likely isn't too significant, at least not as significant as the fact that they're twisted.
that's kind of what I'm thinking. Yeah. Now, on the other hand, the fact that we've got fir trees here might actually be significant, because Flora points out southern Mirkwood, which long had been the hidden dwelling of Sauron, was dominated by fir trees. As Haldir pointed out to the company from their view atop Cairn Amroth, it is clad in a forest of dark fir, where the trees strive one against another, and their branches rot and wither. Under Sauron's evil influence, the trees had become selfish, the forest perverted, in striking contrast to the forests of Lothlorien. Skipping ahead a little bit, they say later, certainly firs are not dangerous or evil, and Merry and Pippin encountered tall fir-like Ents in Fangorn, but fir woods are often dark and inhospitable, providing at least the potential for danger. So, I think the fact that these are firs could be significant in the sense that fir trees are a good place to get lost in, as Tom Shippey might say.
Yeah, indeed. I wonder what kind of damage was done to these trees, though. Was it just the east wind, do you think?
I don't know. I mean, we're told that they were bitten by the east wind, right?
Right.
But you gotta wonder if somehow Sauron's evil has extended to this area, or maybe some previous battle. I don't know. I don't have an answer.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, it's just speculation, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, whatever the case, 50 yards later, the trees are gone. So there's just not that many of them.
Nope.
And then the gully opens up onto the edge of the Emyn Muil in what Frodo thinks is actually an easier or lower descent than any that they come across so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Sam looks at the cliff to the north. The other side of the gully is much higher. And Sam responds with his usual Samness, his usual wit. You know, it's a lot easier to get down than up.
Yeah, I love that. He says, those that can't fly can jump.
Right.
You know, well, we can't go up, so we can go down, right?
Yeah. But as you said, this is like 10 stories, so...
Yeah, not going to happen.
No.
Frodo eyeballs it, and that's when we get that estimate, 33 meters, the height of a 10-story building. We are not jumping. No.
No, and Sam doesn't even like looking down, and I can't blame him. I wouldn't be terribly comfortable either.
Not over a 10-story high cliff, no.
No.
But Frodo thinks that they have to try to climb down here. I mean, the rock here is different. It's described as sloping outward a little bit with fissures and edges, so it's not a super steep, perpendicular cliff face.
No, it's not. And Frodo says that we're going to have to try pretty quickly because it's dark and there's a storm coming. And when I was reading this, I really picked up on something here between Frodo and Sam. This is pretty subtle, but I think it's still quite significant. Because what we see here is that there's a difference in the epistemic regime a little bit between Frodo and Sam.
Yeah.
In the sense that Sam is completely useless in the wild.
Sadly,
he's complaining, he's uncomfortable. Everything is horrible, any bit of adversity. And I'm not saying that a 10-story cliff is not a big deal. It is a big deal.
Of course.
But Sam is kind of complaining the whole way. Whereas Frodo is just about trying to get it done. He's kind of all business. And he comes across as a bit more wise about the natural world and a bit more capable than we would think in this kind of situation.
That's a very good point. He does. You're right. He's certainly not panicking. Panic's a strong word. Sam's not really panicking either. He's not...
he's not pessimistic. He's not cynical.
No, you're right. He's not cynical. That's the word I'm looking for. He's just got to get it done, and we're going to find a way.
Yeah.
And he's just, let's get to it. And you'll see that later, too, when it comes to getting down this cliff face, which I don't think we get to that tonight, but close.
No.
And I'm going to pick up a little bit after that with them at least beginning to climb down this first ledge.
All right.
The smoky blur of the mountains in the east was lost in a deeper blackness that was already reaching out westwards with long arms. There was a distant mutter of thunder borne on the rising breeze. Frodo sniffed the air and looked up doubtfully at the sky. He strapped his belt outside his cloak and tightened it, and settled his light pack on his back. Then he stepped towards the edge. "I'm going to try it," he said. "Very good," said Sam gloomily, "but I'm going first." "You," said Frodo. "What's made you change your mind about climbing?" "I haven't changed my mind, but it's only since. Put the one lowest as is most likely to slip. I don't want to come down atop you and knock you off. No sense in killing two with one fall." Before Frodo could stop him, he sat down, swung his legs over the brink and twisted round, scrabbling with his toes for a foothold. It is doubtful if he ever did anything braver in cold blood or more unwise. No, no, Sam, you old ass, said Frodo. You'll kill yourself for certain going over like that without even a look to see what to make for. Come back. He took Sam under the armpits and hauled him up again. Now wait a bit and be patient, he said. Then he lay on the ground, leaning out and looking down. But the light seemed to be fading quickly, although the sun had not yet set. I think we could manage this, he said presently. I could at any rate, and you could too if you kept your head and followed me carefully.
All right.
Which is generally good advice. Keep your head and follow somebody who knows what they're doing.
Absolutely. And Frodo is somebody who more or less knows what he's doing here.
Like
and
you observed, he's about getting it done.
Yeah.
He's not trying to find the way this won't work. You know, we all know people like that. Oh, that'll never work is blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah.
Always throwing up hurdles. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The slightest reason that it might go wrong. And that's what they point out.
Yeah.
And Frodo's he's got a bit of that Germanic stoicism, doesn't he? He's
he
like,
does.
Let's just get it done.
Yeah. I wonder if this has more to do with, well, I shouldn't say more to do. I mean, it's certainly his personality even from the beginning, but, you know, leading back to the beginning of this chapter was just like, I know I got to get there. I just want to get it over with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of that.
Maybe. Is it fatalistic or is it just sort of realistic?
I think it's more realistic than fatalistic.
Yeah,
you don't see him saying things like, well, I don't care if we don't make it. You know?
Yeah, that's true.
Or I'm going to go over because I know I'm protected by destiny. So, of course, I will survive.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't know about you, Sam.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, fate will find a way. So you're on your own, Gamgee. Yeah.
You know, fate finds a way. Sorry.
Little Ian Malcolm reference
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
All right.
Spare no expense. All right.
All right. So going back to the beginning of the passage, night is coming now. And it's getting dark enough that the mountains in the east aren't visible anymore. And now there's distant thunder as well. And Frodo's starting to look at the sky doubtfully.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
But he still goes forward with what he's going to do, right? He straps his belt, he settles his pack, he's ready to go. And then Sam says, no, I'm going to go first.
Right. And he wants to go first to protect Frodo. There's some logic to this. Put the one lowest as is most likely to slip. Because, you know,
he knows.
If I slip and fall, I don't want to take you down with me.
No.
But then he just goes for it. I mean,
crazy, Sam. Dude.
And it's like, okay, sure. You got to give it to him. Once he makes his mind up, fear's gone. But this is not smart.
No, the fear may be gone, but in this case, so's the wisdom. I mean, he's looking for a foothold with his toes while Frodo is in full-blown panic mode, right?
Yeah.
He hauls him up. Don't be an ass, right? I mean,
right.
We need to be patient, he says. So I think that also speaks against the idea that this is fatalism.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Just that line about being patient, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And yet, patience is going to be kind of a problem for them because it's getting dark and there's going to be less light, not more, the longer they wait. But Frodo thinks they can do it, but Sam needs to follow him.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam isn't so sure about this. He actually thinks maybe they should wait until the morning when it's light again.
And Frodo, though, I love this line, with strange vehemence, rejects that. And then he gives some really strict instructions. Do not follow until I come back or call.
Yeah. What do you make of the strange vehemence? Is this just him in get it done mode?
I think so. Task mode. Absolutely. Though we will see repeatedly that he is deeply uncomfortable and feels very exposed here on the ridge of the Emyn Muil.
Yeah.
So I think it's get it done combined with we really can't stay here.
We really can't stay here because we're exposed.
This is maybe almost at the level of get off the road. Right? I mean, this is, get off the hills.
Right.
Yeah.
It could be that. And Frodo is aware of how exposed they are in a way that Sam is not, because Frodo feels exposed because of the ring. Frodo feels the eye a bit more than Sam does.
Yeah. All right. And that is where you're going to pick up with, I believe this is with the last reading for this episode.
It is. Gripping the stony lip of the fall with his fingers, he let himself gently down. Until, when his arms were almost at full stretch, his toes found a ledge. One step down, he said, and this ledge broadens out to the right. I could stand there without a hold. His words were cut short. The hurrying darkness, now gathering great speed, rushed up from the east and swallowed the sky. There was a dry, splitting crack of thunder right overhead. Searing lightning smote down into the hills. Then came a blast of savage wind, and with it, mingling with its roar, there came a high, shrill shriek. The hobbits had heard just such a cry far away in the Marish as they fled from Hobbiton, and even there in the woods of the Shire it had frozen their blood. Out here in the waste, its terror was far greater. It pierced them with cold blades of horror and despair, stopping heart and breath. Sam fell flat on his face. Involuntarily, Frodo loosed his hold and put his hands over his head and ears. He swayed, slipped, and slithered downwards with a wailing cry.
Okay, then.
Not good.
No. Though our audience can thank me because I was originally going to have this episode end with, his words were cut short. I'm just going to end it there.
That would have been
cruel.
Quite the cliffhanger. I know we have quite a few cliffhangers coming in this chapter.
Quite literally a cliffhanger, yeah.
Yeah.
Just decided I would be kind tonight. So Frodo begins to let himself down. He finds a ledge with his toes, conveniently enough.
Yeah, and it seems like good news, right? Because the ledge opens up a bit and he has room to stand, which he's just about to do when...
Yeah, we get a number of things happening all at once, right?
Yeah.
We get the darkness swallowed the sky. Boy, there is a visual for you, isn't there? Night falls swiftly and fully.
Yeah.
Then we get the lightning and thunder directly overhead. This storm isn't nearby. This storm is on top of them.
Yeah.
And this big blast of wind, but then much more terrifying than any of those natural phenomena combined, the high, shrill shriek.
And of course, we know what this is, folks. This is the cry of the Nazgul. We're told that they heard this exact same sound in the Marish as they fled Hobbiton. And I've got that passage here from A Shortcut to Mushrooms.
Yeah.
A long-drawn wail came down the wind, like the cry of some evil and lonely creature. It rose and fell and ended on a high, piercing note. Even as they sat and stood, as if suddenly frozen, it was answered by another cry, fainter and further off, but no less chilling to the blood.
Oh.
And then we get just, but here...
Oh, yeah, here this close
worse.
to Mordor? Oh, the power is far greater. This isn't just, chilling to the blood. It's pierced with horror and despair, stopping heart and breath.
Yeah.
This is intense. So much so that Frodo, even though he's really leaning up against a cliff face and doesn't want to fall and die, he cannot help.
He can't
cover his ears.
But cover his ears.
Yeah. It's an involuntary reflex. And then in covering his ears, he slips and falls. But I want to spend a little more time on this shriek. And I don't mean practicing it and performing it and seeing how we do, because we're going to be doing plenty of Gollum and I don't want to kill our voices.
No.
But let's take a look at some of the texts that talk about this shriek. From the Siege of Gondor later on. Suddenly as they talked, they were stricken dumb, frozen as it were to listening stones. Pippin cowered down with his hands pressed to his ears. But Baragon, who had been looking out from the battlement as he spoke of Faramir, remained there, stiffened, staring out with starting eyes. Pippin knew the shuddering cry that he had heard. It was the same that he had heard long ago in the Marish of the Shire. But now it was grown in power and hatred, piercing the heart, poisonous despair.
Can I just pause and point out the amazing alliteration in that passage? Stiffened, staring out with starting eyes.
I know.
And then grown in power, piercing the heart, poisonous despair.
I love it. I love it. And once again, folks, this is why you got to read Tolkien out loud.
Yeah.
You just don't even notice that when you're skimming the sentences.
No. I mean, I picked up on it just in my reading just now with Frodo swayed, slipped, and slithered.
Yeah. Swayed, slipped, and slithered is brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, back to the shriek. Later on in Return of the King, we get, the winged shadows were not seen again that day, yet ever and anon, high above the city, a faint cry would come, and many who heard it would stand stricken with a passing dread, while the less stout-hearted quailed and wept.
Oh, man. And again, in that same chapter, out of sight and shot they flew, and yet were ever present, and their deadly voices rent the air. More unbearable they became, not less, at each new cry. At length, even the stout-hearted would fling themselves to the ground as the hidden menace passed over them, or they would stand, letting their weapons fall from nerveless hands, while into their minds a blackness came, and they thought no more of war, but only of hiding and of crawling death. Oh my.
Horror and despair indeed. I mean, that's the weapon of the Nazgul.
That is. And surprise. Yeah.
That is the second time in just a few months you've done that.
By surprise, none.
That's amazing.
Yeah. This is
Yeah.
terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's he doing here?
Well, I happen to have an answer here, because in The Road to Middle-earth, Tom Shippey tells us that this Nazgul was coming back from a fruitless wait for Grishnak the Orc, dead and burnt that same day, with the smoke from his burning seen by many watchful eyes.
I'm sorry, dead and burnt
no.
that same day. I love the way Shippey puts that.
Yeah.
Grishnak the Orc, dead and burnt that same day.
See, I'm glad you did the Shippey voice so I don't have to.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, that's a good point, right? We read then, the smoke from his burning seen by many watchful eyes. Well, I guess these would have been some of those eyes, because he'd been meeting with Grishnak earlier. And in this case, he was probably waiting for the next meeting, the next time Grishnak was going to come back, but he's not coming back anymore.
He's not coming back. He's dead and burnt.
That's right. Dead and burnt that same day.
Smells like burning orc.
Oh, no. Nothing like teen spirit, though.
No, not at all.
Well, speaking of wailing cries, is that Bartleman? It looks like he's found something in the mailbag for us tonight, Sean.
Probably him.
I can hear Bartleman now. Ah!
Another question?
When will they stop?
All right. Yes, we do have some great stuff from the mailbag tonight. First up, Maya in Michigan asked, when it was made, would the destruction of the ring always have led to the downfall of Sauron? If the ring had been destroyed prior to the downfall of Numenor, would Sauron have survived due to not being as weak as he became after losing his body twice?
That's an interesting question, or pair of questions, I suppose. I'll start by answering the first one, and the simple answer is yes. And I don't even mean yes with an if, no with a but.
Nope.
It's just a flat out yes, because once Sauron made the ring, its destruction would always lead to his downfall, right? We read in Of the Rings of Power in the Third Age, something that we call Otrapada here. We read, much of the strength and will of Sauron passed into that one ring. So much so that without it, he would be powerless. And in fact, later in Otrapada, when we read about the defeat of Sauron at the end of the Second Age, when Isildur cut the ring from his finger, we read, Isildur would not surrender it to Elrond and Círdan who stood by. They counseled him to cast it into the fire of Orodruin nigh at hand, in which it had been forged, so that it should perish, and the power of Sauron be forever diminished, and he should remain only as a shadow of malice in the wilderness.
That's right.
Yeah.
They knew even then that without the ring, Sauron would lose his vast powers.
Yeah.
Now, he wouldn't die, though, and it's important that Maya uses the word downfall, not die. Because, of course, Sauron is an immortal Ainu, after all.
Yeah.
But with most of his powers invested in the ring, its destruction was going to mark his end.
Always, yeah.
And in the famous letter number 131, first time this season.
Yeah, 131, man.
Yep. In that letter, Tolkien makes this even more clear, explaining, but to achieve this domination and empire, Sauron had been obliged to let a great part of his own inherent power, a frequent and very significant motive in myth and fairy story, pass into the One Ring. While he wore it, his power on Earth was actually enhanced, but even if he did not wear it, that power existed and was in rapport with himself. He was not diminished. Then Tolkien explains what happens if someone else wields it, but then goes on to the bit we're looking for here, where he says, if the One Ring was actually unmade, annihilated, then its power would be dissolved. Sauron's own being would be diminished to vanishing point, and he would be reduced to a shadow, a mere memory of malicious will.
And that is exactly what we read happened to Sauron near the end of Otrapada. After we're told, and I love this, that Frodo, alone with his servant, which is like my favorite line in all
Hey, come on, man.
Poor Sam, he totally gets the shaft there.
Yeah.
I'm right here. You just could have named me, along with his servant Sam would have even been nice, right?
I know. The author said I was the hero, folks. Come on.
Yeah.
You could do a little better than his servant. That's like when people talk about this podcast and say Alan and his sidekick.
Oh,
like, hey, come on.
Come on, man. You're right there. I don't think anybody
right.
does that. I think they're like Sean and the guy who interrupts him all the time.
I've seen both, actually. So
yeah, well, that's fair. That's fair. And that's when they actually spell your name Shaun and mine Allen, even though our names are written just about every dang place on the internet.
Right. Pretty much. It's right there in the blurb.
It's every single time. It's right there in the description
of
the podcast.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So,
it's okay that whoever wrote this said alone with his servant, because whoever wrote this also said Frodo cast the ring into the fire, which Guess
Not
what?
exactly how it happened.
That didn't happen either, right?
No.
So I'm just going to say that after we're told that Frodo managed to get the ring to Mount Doom, where it was eventually cast, fallen, worn into the fire.
It found its way into the fire. All right.
Exactly.
That's what matters.
But the whole point is we read this. Then Sauron failed, and he was utterly vanquished and passed away like a shadow of malice. So, yeah, word of advice, don't put all your power into one object, eh?
Yeah. And I suppose that really answers the second half of Maya's question.
Yeah.
If the ring had been destroyed prior to the downfall of Númenor, would Sauron have survived?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the answer, according to Otrapada, in Tolkien's own words, is a pretty clear no.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a firm no, no doubt about it.
Yep.
That's going to be a no from me, dog.
All right. Well, do we have time for another one, Alan?
I believe we do, no matter how much we've dithered around on this one.
Yeah.
Paul Day in Bristol asks us for a favor. He says, could we have a long PPP discussion on the relationship between Frodo and Sam, please? At the start of the adventure, Sam is clearly a servant. But at the end, Frodo is calling Sam the dearest of hobbits. How is the relationship and disparity between their classes reconciled? Surely, as Sam ends up being the mayor for many years, the class distinction between Frodo and Sam is now lessened. Sean, you want to start this one?
I'd love to start this one, actually, because, Paul, you'll be happy to know that we're going to have a very long discussion about Frodo and Sam. It's going to last about 2 years. I mean,
that's a good point. Yeah, you're right.
Really, this year and a good
Yeah.
bit of season 8 is going to deal exclusively with Frodo and Sam.
You're right.
And we're going to be touching on this topic very often, I expect.
I'm sure we will.
Now, we don't want to steal all of our thunder, and honestly, the conversation is way more than we could get into right now, but we can talk a little bit about a couple of things right now, and we will promise to revisit it more as the text leads us.
Yeah.
I guess the first thing that comes to mind about their relationship is the idea of a class distinction similar to that between an officer and a batman in World War I, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
As Humphrey Carpenter explains in his biography of Tolkien, when he arrived in Etapla, the older officers treated him like an inferior schoolboy, and he had more respect for the men, that is, the NCOs and the privates.
Yeah.
Officers could not make friends among them, for the system did not permit it, but each officer had a batman, a servant who was detailed to look after his kit and care for him. Carpenter quotes Tolkien as writing, "My Sam Gamgee is indeed a reflection of the English soldier, of the privates and batmen I knew in the 1914 war, and recognized as so far superior to myself."
Exactly. And John Garth goes into some more detail in Tolkien and the Great War, talking about the miners or weavers from the close-knit Lancashire towns as a migrant community exiled from home. Garth adds that Tolkien felt an affinity with these working-class men. He had, after all, spent significant portions of his childhood either in run-down urban areas of Birmingham or among laboring folk in the villages on the outskirts of the city. Now, at the same time, Tolkien was still very conscious of class. Carpenter puts it in the biography, his view of the world in which each man belonged or ought to belong to a specific estate, whether high or low, meant that in one sense he was an old-fashioned conservative. And end quote. And I think we're going to see nods to both that class consciousness, to put it one way, and his fondness for the common man in that relationship between Frodo and Sam.
I think we are, and it's going to take the better part of 2 years to really develop.
It really will.
But,
so yeah, it'll be a long conversation there, Paul.
It will. It will. And we are going to constantly see how there's going to be moments when Sam elevates himself. There's going to be moments when Frodo kind of brings himself down to Sam's level.
Yeah.
And they're going to have moments to be equals. And I think we are going to see that friendship really blossom and develop over the next couple of years.
Absolutely.
And I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to give us a ton of great conversations this year and during season 8.
Oh, absolutely.
And after Sam becomes mayor, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, even more at the end of season 8. You're right.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, folks, hard to say it, but that wraps it up for another episode of the Prancing Pony Podcast. But please be sure to join us again next week when we wonder if we've gone blind.
I'm not touching that one.
Good idea.
Nope. It's going to be lots to talk about rope next week, though, so that's always fun.
Mm-hmm.
Do not get tied up and miss the next episode.
Oh.
Seriously, man, why did you make me read that?
Well, it's better than me reading it. It's going to sound terrible
so.
if I do. Yeah.
People think I came up with it. Anyway, folks, we want to take a moment to thank the team that makes this show better.
Yeah.
Only marginally so. Our research assistants.
Not for lack of trying, though.
Right. That's our research assistants, our Barliman, Becca Davis, our producer, Jordan Rennells, our social media manager, Casey Hilsey, event and Patreon community coordinator, Katie McKenna, and website guru, Phil Dean.
And speaking of the website, please be sure to give us a visit at theprancingponypodcast.com. We've got show notes, hilarious outtakes, Prancing Pony ponderings, and our online storefront where you can get all sorts of PPP merch.
And definitely check out our library page. You folks know that we love the books here at the Prancing Pony Podcast, and we have provided links for you to get nearly every book we've mentioned on the show. Now, we do get a few pennies from the purchases you make there, so we thank you for that.
Mm-hmm. And we also want to thank some more really important people, our patrons at the Kierdan's contribution tier. I'm going to start with DeMay in Alaska, James in Virginia, Tamsin in Minnesota, Chad in Texas, Lance in New Jersey, Paul in Colorado, Jerry in Texas, Bruce in California, Mario in Utah, Seth in Texas, B in California, Joseph in Texas, and Kathy from North Carolina.
And then we have Lori from Washington, Josh in Oklahoma, Carlos in California, Brian from the UK, Ned from Connecticut, Jerry from Washington, Ryan from Alaska, Joe in Washington, Erwin from the Netherlands, Hal from Washington, D.C., June in Ireland, Lucas in Germany, and Ryan in Illinois. Thank you all so very much for your support. And folks, please be sure you don't miss any episodes of the Prancing Pony Podcast. Subscribe to the show through Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app, whatever it is.
That's right. And one last thing as always, don't forget to send your thoughts, comments, and, well, most of all, a bit of plain bread and half a mug of beer to Barliman at theprancingponypodcast.com. And if you want to have a chance to have your actual voice heard on the show, you can send us audio of you asking your question by visiting podinbox.com/prancingponypod and record your question for us there.
Just please do us a favor and still send the question to Barliman in the mailbox, please.
Yeah.
Now, Barliman's a lot more reliable lately, but we do get a lot of mail. So we'll get to you as soon as we can, and your question or comment may be featured on a future episode.
But as always, this has been far too short a time to spend among such excellent and admirable listeners. Until next time.
Farewell, friends.